Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jade.
And welcome to Bar Talk with Jade.
Welcome.
What they want to say you brought to you by Dispose. This is a great garbage company that I do work for, but it's not about me. It's about what I can do for you.
Right.
After working 21 years with waste management, 7 years with advanced disposal, I got with R&B, flipped it around, changed it to Dispose, for I can find a company that can show you great ways to bring customer service to you. So give us an opportunity and a chance, and we might be able to change your way of thinking about how trash is done.
Yes.
That's what I like to do at Dispose, so give us a call. Now, after pushing out that, I got to get back to this person been rocking with me for over 4 years, coming up September the 17th.
Woo.
Craftmatic, how you doing, big baby?
I'm doing fabulous, man. Fabulous,
I mean,
my friend.
you still glowing on that,
Fabulous, man. Yeah, man, listen.
I love that.
Life is just so beautiful. I don't know. It's just beautiful right now. I don't know. I'm just watching the Lord just go before me, man. And, you know, sometimes I was telling a friend of mine, sometimes you have these things you need to get done in life, and you don't really know how to get them done, but you just attack. And as you attack, it's like the answer comes before you. You know, the solution comes before you, the right person and the right system and the right timing, and everything just kind of works itself out. And I've been doing a lot of attacking on life.
Okay.
Just trying to make some things happen, get some breakthroughs, and it's working, bruh. It's working.
Hey, man.
It's working big time, man. So I'm doing fabuloso. How you doing, Smith?
I am definitely blessed.
Okay.
As much stress as I go through with the job and now with the coronavirus and everything else,
Yeah.
I'm still blessed because I'm healthy, I am managing, and a lot of times you complain just because it didn't happen how you wanted.
Right.
But he wakes you up and he don't promise you how you gonna get it.
Yes.
But you gotta get out there and get it.
Preach, Jay.
So I had to get back off that little rocking horse of complaining and say, you know something?
That's right.
This ain't the time or the place when we got so many people that are not here no more.
That's right.
So I'm gonna complain just because I didn't get my way.
Right.
As much as I talk about spoiled people, boy, I'm acting like a little hypocrite tonight.
Yeah.
So we won't be doing that.
There you go.
I'm doing
It's
good.
a perfect time to properly introduce ourselves. This is Bar Talk with Jay. My name is Craftmatic. This is my boy Smooth Jay.
Right here.
And we are here to simply liberate your minds with inspirational dialogue. We have a talk here in the studio about some meaningful subjects to real life, and we hope that you can find yourself in our discussion. What would you do? How would you handle it? What decisions would you make? And we want you to grow as a result of this dialogue. Don't just think about it, but make a clear and conscious decision on what you're going to do. Right? Development happens right now, not tomorrow. Make the decision as we go through it, and I promise you, you'll find this show can be very, very therapeutic. Send it to all your friends and families if you find that you love it, you like the content. We don't have anything special going on other than the work we put in to get this message to you, and we would love your help. We, of course, always start the show off with a prayer. And would you like to do our prayer?
No, my brother. Go ahead. I'm trying to get some collection coming around. Come on.
Okay.
Give it to him.
Okay. As I was thinking through the prayer tonight,
What you got?
I thought to myself, what does everyone in the world need right now? And if you're living life and you're trying to be alive, we are all looking for answers. And so let's pray that God inspire us with answers tonight.
Okay.
Heavenly Father, we come to you with our heads bowed and our hearts humbled, thanking you for your awesome power and your love and your grace and mercy upon our lives. We come to you tonight, Father, for answers. We ask that resolutions take place in our lives and in our minds. We ask that you would give us the victory and allow blessings to pour over us, Father. We ask, Heavenly Father, that you would remove all doubts and all fears. Allow completeness and wholeness to take place in our lives, in every facet of our beings, in our mind, in our life, in our thinking, in our families, in all the things that we do. We hand it all over to you, asking that you would hand back to us all of the answers to take us to our greatest possibility. We thank you for tonight's show. We ask that it be liberating and that you would inspire this entire dialogue. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Oh, I fell down.
Amen.
I think an answer came out of that prayer.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Ooh, boy. I had a whole nother passage I wanted to do right there.
I felt it.
Yeah. Listen, we have to begin. I read this book, another book this week. It's called Calling Things That Are Not. Calling things that are not as though they were.
Is that like when my boys be saying she fine and she ain't?
No, man.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. I was about to say, I didn't lie.
Leave it up to you to confuse Jesus' words with the pimp down the street.
I ain't said it. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, calling things that are not as though they are.
I got you.
And that means speaking life. And so, if you're in a situation and you need real answers to your problems or circumstances, all of the answers lie within your mind, within your ability to hear from God, to hear from a higher power. And when you call for answers, answers shall be revealed. And so you can live really a stress-free, worry-free life if you learn how to manage your own thinking, right? Because thoughts produce their own realities. And we really got to get a hold of that. As this world of humanity and technology merge, we have to realize that we are kind of one with technology. Okay. That we can think and we can pray and we can ask for and supplicate for anything we desire in our lives, and it shall come to pass. And it is mathematical and mechanical, right? Life follows your own thinking. You get upset, guess what's going to happen? You're going to create a bad riffle in your life, right? And so that's why we have to always be at peace in our emotions, at peace in our thinking, because that peace will continue to manifest greater and greater sums of peace. You know.
I was just thinking if you just stop damn lying, it helps so much. I mean, because people that get lied to get so tired of it. We say, oh, dude, we wish everybody took it how you take it, because then you speak in real life and not that bull, you know, that effery. We call that fuckery. It'd be so nice. It'd stop a lot of that.
Speaking of which,
what you got?
Last week we talked about basically, can you maintain a relationship during these quarantine times? Can you maintain a mental and physical relationship during these COVID-19 times?
It worked out well for me. You should have seen some things stop through here. No, bro, I ain't do well.
Oh, Jay, why didn't you just refrain, man?
Refrain from what?
Refrain.
I still got needs. what you saying?
What? Well, so I'm confused. I'm a little confused.
Low-hanging fruit, bro. That wasn't what I would first call, okay? It's the last on the menu.
Last on the menu.
Last on the menu, but first in the place. What the hell going on?
You know, if you would have refrained from calling her during those times, you on the other side of the equation, Lord would have blessed you with Mrs. Right.
You know something?
All the way from one side to the other, man. You just miss your blessings calling them knuckleheads. Why you spin your wheels on stuff like that, Jay?
It was calling me. they called me. You know, a lot of times when you look at some of the things you do, you don't even really recognize until later. And at that time, it just seemed like something to do. I would agree. A lot of times you have to reframe and just look at, because it's convenient. They call and they want to come by. And you be like, yeah, why not? But if that ain't what you really want to do, it's taking you from where you really want to be. Now, as much as I work and as hard as I drive, there's no need of slacking, even on my off time. That drive need to stay focused and driven. But a lot of times you get tired and you make excuses. So me, I'm having fun with the excuses, but it's not like it doesn't happen. And the saddest thing is we continue to do it.
We continue to do it.
It's bad.
But, you know, just imagine a young man or a young woman, or grown man or woman, sitting in their living room, and they have options. You know, they can have, Big Daddy to come over, or they can have, you know what I'm saying, they can call little mama over, right? But it's not really what they want. It's not really what you want. But sometimes you make the call anyway. And I said a couple of weeks ago, and I thought this was profound, but sometimes at the end of those equations, man, we ask ourselves, why did we do it? Like, it wasn't even worth it. There ain't even enough memory to even have done the shit.
You know? I had some of them, but most of the time I don't really had, because I know I did it.
I think it's like pouring out bad seed. You know, it's like you just really need to refrain from the things that not only might they get you in trouble a little bit, if mishandled, but they really aren't good for your spirit. You know what I'm saying? You're reaching for bubble gum when you really want to play the food. And after a while, that bubble gum is gonna rot in your teeth, right? So
I ain't never thought about it like that. I don't never chew on
I'm
them
just
like
trying
that.
to create
Just saying.
a philosophical equation just to help people understand,
I
because
like candy though.
people are constantly making lesser decisions, right? There's a young lady. She's entertaining two young men right now. One's a bad boy and one's a good boy. But she gonna go for the bad boy. But she thinking about the right now, right? But the good boy is gonna really be able to, help her get into college and be good friends with her family and da 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 da. But she can't see the light right now. You see what I mean? So it just happens like that, sometimes it takes time to see the light. She will run into a place where she was like, man, I've been spinning my wheels. I could have had a good dude a lot of times. So, reframing can, I believe, can help the spirit. It can propel the spirit in a positive direction. You know what I mean?
I don't know, but also doing it helps the body. Because I ain't gonna lie, my body feel good. It's my mind that went back, that was playing on me. It's like, really? Really?
It's a very interesting subject, and let me just chime in for a second on it. So I have this little philosophy that I have in my world, where I hold back on a lot of things in life that I want. For example, right? I could go buy any car pretty much that I want within reason right now. So I can buy me a nice car and not even spend it. But something's saying hold back, and you know how every really, really, really successful person went through like mad broke times. And bankruptcy and all that stuff. Well, I'm decided that if I hold back now while I have prosperity, that when I get to those times, I won't have to go through such darkness. I won't have to go through such darkness in order to experience my wealth and my prosperity. And so it really is a philosophy of, hey, I'm just kind of saving myself for the right time. Then when I go out, I'll be like, I want that house. I give me two of those. You know what I mean?
You gonna ball out.
Right. And I'm not gonna have to go through the problem that many people do, just striving to get wealth. You know what I mean? There's something special about a little bit of hold back. You know what I mean? Even in the dating world, if the woman holds back from the guy, she really get to see who he is. She get to see if she got a good dude, if he's willing to,
How long?
What you got a problem with that?
Hell yeah. How long you hold? 90 days too long.
Well, I might agree that 90 days is too long. But how long would it be for her to be respectable? Let's say it's your daughter or your mother.
Hell, I can't be with my daughter.
No, just
okay.
You give an instruction to your daughter or your woman. How long
I had
is
to
it?
say, my whole thing is watch timing and understand people. Because my whole thing is some people don't ever deserve an opportunity.
Yeah.
And if that presents yourself, then you can't say, I'm going to give you 60 days, and they showed that there's nothing that you would really want to deal with, but you gave a 60-day window. So now you feel that guilt over 60 days.
I want you to give some criteria, though. Give me,
my criteria would be
3 dates,
I would never count it by days.
Everybody want to get it in.
I would never count it by days, but I would at least say about 3 weeks or a month, depending on how often. My whole thing is, again, are you really communicating?
Yeah.
The more you communicate, the more you can get that time down. Because I'm spending more time, I'm hearing from you. So I might have started with a month to 3 weeks, but she calls me every day. We speak, we see each other more and more. My time going to shorten because of the time I'm spending. Now I can be more invested when I get with her. I know more about her, so now it can be a better experience.
Yes.
So that's what I look at, But if, again, you want to jump with a shorter time frame, it depends on what you choose. And I think everybody has that option. But choose wisely. Look at why you're quick to jump the broom. Half the time it's what looks. Man, she fine. I don't want nobody else to get it.
I mean, sometimes you just get caught up, You
can.
You went and had a drink, had dinner and had a drink with him, maybe at his house or, at your house, he came by, a glass of wine, whatever. Shit got hot, and you know what I'm saying?
It went down.
And it went down, you didn't mean for it to go down like that.
There's relationships that are built from that.
Yeah.
Because it went down like that doesn't mean a person has to just it all on how it went down.
Yeah.
It could have been a real respectful type deal where you went out, you vibed, it felt good, and that's what you wanted. And then again, you wondering if that person gonna call or not, and then they do, and it jumps off. There's people been married with people they had basically the first time experience.
Yeah.
Not a one night stand because they stayed with him.
Right.
So again, I really feel like it's your confidence in you. Because I really feel like if I meet a person and we hit it off and we end up doing something early on, I don't really feel like I have to be judgmental on saying she did this with everybody else. If I have enough communication, I already know vindicating that thought. That's your own fear. You're fearing that she's that way. You can push her that way by speaking that kind of stuff. So a lot of times you keep doing fears to yourself and just realize that ain't necessarily the person in front of you. That's your own mind playing on you, and you're going to contribute it when you start speaking it. That's all I got to say when it comes to that. But
and you know what, Jade, there's two sides to that equation, and you know we done seen it all.
I gave you the good side.
Past behavior equals future behavior, and very rarely do people change. So if she give it up to you the first night, she probably done gave it up to a few people the first night.
I mean,
maybe more than a few.
They helped out. I mean, she came with some skills and some levels.
She came with some skills
she
too.
Came? What?
No, she ain't did it. She done did it before.
Oh, wait, she better even act like it was her first. No, but not with all she
gonna be
did.
trying to keep you, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. That's why she did all that extra.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it worked at that time.
Listen, let's close this out. Check out the show. It was a fabulous show. Can you maintain a mental and physical relationship during these COVID-19 times? We really did a great job, I think, of dialoguing. There was some real rich dialogue about so many different components of this situation. And please check it out. This show is about nothing but love, right? And so we're all over the place. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and of course my boy Jade.
Offer Up, Let Go, Black Planet,
Craigslist. We are there.
All right.
We are definitely there. And so subscribe, like us, share us, subscribe, like us, share us, subscribe, like us, share us. And stay tuned because we got some exciting work coming up. In the near future, we're introducing Minecraft, which is kind of my baby, and I think you're going to really, really like where we're going. It's time to get some real mental healing in the house, right? And boy, I got some good stuff planned for you. So we're going to go ahead and introduce our topic for tonight.
Ooh, what we got?
And then we're going to go ahead and take our first break. And for those of you who cannot hear the music during the break, you're welcome to fast forward to the next segment. Each song is usually about 4 minutes, so you can just fast forward right to the next segment so you can get on with the show. Even though sometimes you might see me dancing in the middle of the screen. You know?
He came DJ Craft.
Yeah. So tonight's topic is overcoming. How do we overcoming fears and the anxiety of the unknown?
Ooh.
Overcoming fears and the anxiety of the unknown.
Oh, this is going to be good.
This is going to be real good.
Okay.
Because this is something everybody has to deal with.
Yes.
And I want to come from a real supernatural, mental kind of equation on it so that people can get some tangible steps out of it.
I just want to come around you as hell.
Yeah.
I just want to get it to you, right?
Yeah. I'll let you do. I'm looking forward to that, Jay.
No problem.
So, you folks stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more Bar Talk with Jay.
I want to make sure I tell you that we have changes in what we do. Now you can go to bartalkwithjay.com and you can watch the show and hear it. That's right. You can go to Bar Talk with. You don't got to go to my Facebook page. You don't have to go through all this other, because there are some people complaining. I got an app out there that can take you right to my page. Now we got something even better for you. For all the ones that don't want to mess with Facebook, they don't want to fool with none of that, bartalkwithjay.com. And you can still hear the good stuff that we do without having to go to all these other places, Craigslist, Offer Up. You ain't got to do that. I'm going to make it as simple as possible. It's not to mention Instagram and some other places.
Yeah.
What you got?
You sent something the other day, I think through Messenger, and I was trying to figure out how to get it out of Messenger. And I never could figure it out. I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but my mom's not a Facebooker, right?
Oh, see.
So she loves some of the stuff that we post, but she can't get to it. And I really like the app because that really gives the world an opportunity to just go directly to us. So you folks check it out. Where can they find us at, Jade?
No, again, you can go to the app itself. I can send to you directly, but again, if you go to my page, you can also see it. On Facebook, I throw it out there so often when you can get to the app. If you DM me, I can send it to you directly. It's a direct link. It'll take you straight to my Facebook. What I love about it, you don't have to log in. You go underneath me. You can go and get my Twitter. You can go against my Instagram. My whole thing is to touch all my platforms so you can see all what I do. So the more I do, the easier it comes to you. So again, bartalkwithjay.com is another easy way to get the same thing.
Let's go.
And you can get the app too.
And you can get the app there.
So you can't beat it. We making it simple. As simple as I can get it, the easier you can receive it.
Right.
Let's change the game, y'all.
There you go, Smooth Jay. There you go. So we want to talk tonight about the topic of overcoming fear and the anxiety of the unknown.
Wow.
I oftentimes ask myself big questions like how much life potential is lost because someone was afraid.
A lot.
I mean, how many times do people not achieve their life's goal and purpose because they had some fears?
I mean, a lot of people that's not successful today is only because of the fear of failure.
It's only because of the fear.
The fear of failure. No one wants to face that. And if you ever have some failures in your life, it's not a great failure. It's not. So it becomes, instead of a situation that you face and get past, it can be something that plagues you. So now all of a sudden, instead of me moving forward, I move away from.
Right.
So now my fullest potential I can't reach because I keep moving away from the fears.
Right.
So now the fears control you and you don't control your own destiny.
Right.
It happens a lot. And to recognize it is difficult because you don't want to admit it. It's a fear. If I know I'm not good at this and I fear it, I don't want you to talk about it, so I'm not going to mention it.
But see, in order to, and there's so many layers we can talk about here, but in order to really grasp what you just said, Jay, I have to somehow recognize why I feel the way I feel. You see, I feel like something's not right. I feel like I can't do it. I feel like there's not enough time, wisdom, education, money. I feel that, but because that feeling is my norm, I don't really disassociate with being normal. You see what I mean? It's just who I am. I can't see myself closed up behind some of these glass walls. Right? I have been told on numerous occasions that I don't love or I haven't loved because I'm afraid of love because I've been hurt. And that's people's observation of where I am in my life from the outside looking in. And I have to, take a look at it and say, hey, is that the truth? Right? Am I really not hindering myself from love because I'm afraid of something? And
I think I am.
And I've dealt with it, but I wouldn't have never really dove into the understanding of the hurt. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have gone to that place. And I'm kind of losing my train of thought because I want to go so many places. Let me just say this. If you go through life like we all do, experiencing many failures and many problems and many hurdles, many bags of weight that you just can't fix. It may be your taxes, it may be that bad knee, it may be the career path, it may be your relationships, whatever those thorns are, that you're going to miss the mark many times, and so there's no healing going on, right? And so people are walking around carrying these bucket loads of fear. I'm fearful in my relationships. I'm fearful in my business. I'm fearful with my kids. I'm fearful with my about life. Or, I'm going to die early. I'm fearful that I'm going to catch my grandfather's disease. I'm fearful that, it just seems like we're so riddled with this thing we call fear, but we don't wake up to it, right? It just kind of manages our thinking because our thinking starts to get low. whenever we're afraid. When you're in fear, you don't try hard.
Yeah.
You don't go the extra mile when you're in fear. And that may be one of the ways to recognize whether you're experiencing fear. If you're in a relationship and you've been in that relationship a long time and it's not there, then yeah, I think you need to make a decision that, hey, is that fear really driving me? And if it is, deal with it. If it's not fear, it could be so many other things, but it's time to wake up to the things that are hindering us. And really those things that are hindering us are these big monsters in our mind. Right? What would happen is, especially young people, right? Think of all of us going through life. We kind of manage through K through 12 and we get out of high school and we start moving in our own direction. And let's just say we start a business. And the next thing you know, the business grows and, we're making a little paper and we're notarized and, we're starting to be an example for the community. And then the bottom falls out. And then you have to begin to face all of those little bitty doors that are coming at you. What they think about you, how you feel about what they think about you. Are you, do you feel strong enough to go back and start that business again? It failed, but you know why it failed now, so can you do it all over again? Or are you going to be so riddled by the experience of that failure that you'll never try to start another business again? And that's what will happen. You'll find people they'll try to be an athlete, or they'll try to be an actor, they'll try to be a singer, a rapper, or whatever, and they're not really hitting the mark. They're not really experiencing failures because they're not trying very hard anymore. They're just talking about being successful.
They don't want to.
Right? They don't want to go try to put a new album together and see if they can sell it. They just want to talk about what they did in the past. They don't get back up, and oftentimes because they're so shocked by what happened in the past, and they don't want it to happen again. So the anxiety of the unknown is very real, and I often wonder how the average person deals with it.
My turn.
Yeah. What would you say, Jade?
I'm just saying, when I say my term, average person, I'm going to name just two different fears that people might be able to relate to. One, I've been married before, and now I'm divorced, single, going through life. I always say to myself, I will never ever get married and be miserable. Okay? Not to say my first wife made my life miserable. I contributed to that totally. So it's not to de-shine her in any kind of fashion or way. But I know for a fact when I started dating and I started dealing with other people, I've seen some people that can make me be very miserable in some of the ways that they was doing. So my whole thing was, wait a minute, let me get a better relationship with myself before I started including somebody into me. Because the bottom line is, your happiness starts with you. But I had a fear of just being miserable because I seen people together for a very long time. Didn't love each other, didn't really care. They just kept it together. But it was miserable. That bothered me because that's something I didn't want. So that was a fear that I was also manifesting into my own. It's because you got to watch how you look at things. Okay? Just because they chose that don't mean that's you. So please watch how you manifest some things, because sometimes your fears can manifest because of you. Secondly, this pandemic. Yes. This pandemic got a lot of people in fear. I'm watching people with their mask on, they wearing their gloves, they washing their hands, and then they get some relations going on. A girl come over, and they got their mask on, they got their gloves on, they ain't covering nothing. Please understand, it was HIV and other shit out there way before this pandemic hit, okay? So don't forget about it just because we got something new in front of us. And that's where I feel like a lot of, we focus on the fear of what they gave us, and you forget about everything else. My whole thing is you cover yourself all the way around. The gloves, the mask when necessary, still condoms, and watching what we do. I really feel like a pandemic is to sharpen you to act more accordingly, to look at things a little bit more sharp, but not to go around scared of everything. Now I got people, they don't want to touch. It's maybe the elbow, it's this, it's that. But then I'm watching them grab stuff, stick stuff in their mouth, pick their nose, do everything else. But yet they want to act like they're so cautious. But I see a lot of reactionary stuff, what they do on the side, that doesn't show me any concern of germs at all. But they talk it, but they don't walk it. That's all I'm saying. So it's a fear, though. I'm telling you, most conversations are based upon what goes on right now. And it's still fear. This coronavirus, fear. 5G, technology coming, fear. What about everything else is going to go on? Now they're going to chip us, fear. Now, you ain't willing to do nothing.
Yeah, and listen, what is that fear? That fear is, I'm doomed. That fear is, I'm not going to make it out of this. That fear is, they're going to have control over me. That fear is, I'm losing my freedom. You know, and those, you know, are fears that are, you know, have some potentiality to them. But you can't live life stuck in fear. At a certain point, you got to say, I'm going to go fight for what I got to get done in life. And this, you know, we talked a little bit about people, if there are those people who are quote unquote asleep, they really believe the virus is big and it's doing what it's doing all this bad stuff, that they're going to be so riddled with fear, they're not going to come out of their house for months.
Right.
For months. And maybe even years. And they'll leave a lot of potential on the table, a lot of life on the table in fear. And so, you know, we need to spend some loving time talking about how to overcome this. And that's really what this show is all about.
Yeah, that's going to be an 8 o'clock segment. Right now, we got to go back Rachi. But
yeah,
if you don't catch what fear is,
see,
you'll never accept.
Yeah, and that's the point I was trying to allude to earlier, is that we have to begin to wake up to what is troubling us.
There you go.
What are you fearful of? If you sit down and write your goal, and here's what I'm going to do, 1, 2, 3, A, B, and C, X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm going to do. Then along the path from A to B, you have to consider what will happen and won't happen.
Right.
What you can control and what you can't control. Right? But if you don't have a goal, your mind is probably bouncing off of all the walls in the world that can take you down to the end of your life and the end of your money and the end of your love. There's destruction when there's no focus. Focus is necessary to minimize destruction, right? And so, you know, I guess what I'm really trying to say is that you got to be going somewhere, and that'll get rid of half of the fears. If you're trying to do something, that'll be half of the fear. You'll overcome half the fears. You can sit in your house and say, wow, I can't go to the grocery store, I can't go to do this, I can't go to do that, I can't go to do that, I'm just so afraid. But in the midst of you saying, I have to take care of my family, you're like, on Wednesday morning, I'm going to the grocery store. No matter what. I'm going to have on my mask, I'm going to have on my gloves, and I'm just going to get it. And so now survival causes you to have to step outside of your fears, because you really don't want to go out there. But you go out there boldly and you make happen what needs to be happening. And that's the point here, is that we cannot sit and wallow in these things that we're afraid of. We have to now find a new way, a new path. If you had a plan in January to achieve a goal, you just have to rewrite the plan on how to get it done, you know, in the new times. Okay? Because I don't think this quarantine stuff is going anywhere. So, you know, but the real point here, and it's almost time for us to go to another break. The real point here is, if you have a lot of fear, and you have a lot of stress, and you have a lot of anxiety, you have to recognize it for what it is. Right? We see too many people having heart attacks, etc., because they are not stopping to recognize the signs, the symbols. You got to stop and see that, hey, there's something that's really holding me back. What am I afraid of here? And it's oftentimes a difficult question to answer unless you're going somewhere in particular, right? If you're going somewhere in particular, it takes the world out of your equations and puts you laser focused on track. So we're going to talk about, some ways to overcome fears whenever we get back. Anything you want to add to that, Jade?
I can only tell you, one of the things about a fear that I always want to make sure I bring to people's attention is, a lot of times you have fear, you don't want to recognize it, and you don't want to talk about it. And by that, you're running from it. And as long as I never bring it up, no one ever knows. That typically happens a lot. I can't always break you from a comfort zone of what you're used to make you comfortable not to face it. But I promise you, when I faced most of the things that I had problems with, I overcame it 2 times over. When I say 2 times, it propelled me past the next possible fear I could have had, because that anxiety wasn't there. And that's what happens. Fear causes anxiety, which causes you to act differently. So you're not on your best.
Yeah.
And I want you to get back to your best. I don't want this pandemic to cause everybody to be a fear of feeling like they're going to be chipped. They're going to be back in slavery. It's just going to be so horrible. Okay, you're going to manifest a whole lot of negativity when it's not necessary. When you can get back and be safe with what you do. Cover yourself in a more safe way and not look at that.
The thing I like you said most, and we're going to break on this, is I faced my fears. We'll talk about that more whenever we get back. Y'all stay tuned. More Bar Talk with Jade.
We back. Bar Talk with Jade. Now,
Jay,
we got a little special moment right now. I got this person that always comes with me. He came with the fire last week. Now, seeing we through the pandemic, I never know what he's going through, but I'm going to give it to him right now. Jeffrey, how you doing, big baby?
Brother Jay, what's going on with you today, sir?
Man, I have no complaints, man. Happy to be here. My day went good at work, so I hope yours did too.
Right. What's up, Brother Jeffrey? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, Brother Kraft, everything is going fine. You know, the weather was nice and toasty. The sun came through. Traffic wasn't a bear at all. My daughter loves me. My son loves me. And my granddaughter loves me. And in spite of all of that, you know what time it is.
Yes, sir.
And it's time for you to close your mouth and listen. You ask me some questions. I'll give you some answers from a man's point of view. Now, I got one reason for the habitually single woman and one reason for the habitually single man as to why you might be single. But before we get into that, here is my disclaimer.
All right.
Now, see, what I'm going to talk about might not apply to you. And if it doesn't apply to you, I don't want you to put your foot up in this shoe. But if it does apply to you, I want you to put both feet in both shoes and walk around in them because you're about to learn something tonight. Now, ladies, you go first.
All right.
All right, ladies, now, some of you are single simply because you identify more with the feminine man than you do the masculine man. Now, look, I don't care who you are out there. You can love on who you want to love on. That ain't what I'm talking about, ladies. I want you to understand something. When you ask for the right type of man, the man that you really want, you start saying, I want a man that can communicate well, he's sensitive, he's tender, and all these feminine traits. Now, I want y'all to understand, ladies, we communicate very well. Y'all just don't listen to the way we communicate. I want you to understand, ladies, that we are sensitive. We can actually be very attentive to your needs, but when we start to express our love for you, you want it to look like it looks from your girlfriend. I need you to understand, when you start saying sensitive and tender and all that stuff, you are describing traits of your girlfriend.
Yes.
Not traits of your man. You're looking for companionship on the feminine side because you don't know how to relate to the masculine side. You don't know how to relate to a man that you have to be held accountable for. You don't know how to relate to a man that will leave you and all your issues behind. You don't know how to relate to a guy who got his stuff together, whose masculine energy radiates like the sun. You're so scared you get sunburned. Ladies, I need y'all to understand. There's a crop of men out there right now that are willing to step up and show out.
Yes.
But you still looking for that soft dude. That dude that's not as threatening to your heart. That dude that you feel like you can handle because you ain't really got to risk nothing to pull him in. And that's why you single with your little feminine friend.
Yeah, man, that is so true. It's been over the many years, it's like women have just seemingly wanted the feminine side of men. And the masculine side of men, I don't know, they just couldn't identify with that. I mean, I can remember back, from my grandfather, my parents, everybody. No, they want a sensitive, tender man. They, they don't want a man who build a roof. You know? So, wow, right on the money, Brother Jeffrey. I ain't got nothing else on that, Jade.
Nah, I got a little mad on that.
All right, back to you, Brother Jeffrey.
All right, fellas. Now, don't think that I'm letting you off the hook.
Dang.
Fellas, you are next.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fellas, some of you are single simply because you are scared of your power. Now, feel me on this one now. See, you've been taught to be humble. You've heard that always be humble when you're growing up. You've been taught to be gracious. Never really brag on yourself. You've been taught to bow your head your whole life, to dim your brilliance so nobody feels threatened by you. I say, damn that. I was watching a really successful athlete who said, oh, well, if I pushed you like that, if I was this type of way of practice, if I did things this way of practice, it's because, and you didn't like it, it's because you probably ain't never won nothing. So I'm going to submit this to you, brothers. If you sitting back watching some of the stuff that's happening in our community and you ain't mad, something's wrong with you. If you sit back watching the way that this brother who was just delivering furniture was blocked by these dudes asking how'd you get the gate code and you didn't get a little mad, something's wrong with you. If you're sitting back and you're just listening to everything that happened to Brother Ahmad in South Georgia, and you don't sit there and say, I wish a mother, if that's not you, then you are scared of your power. I want you to feel me on this now. There is no greater solution for our community than the robust masculine energy that we carry inside of us, because it brings provision, it brings protection, it brings prosperity, it brings paternity. We got all the feminine stuff we need. We need to bring some of that masculine energy. But you sitting back hanging out with your girlfriend, single with your old feminine ass.
Now, I gotta admit, it's definitely a shoe I can't really just put a foot all the way in, but
that's good.
I can definitely relate when he said, a lot of times you don't understand your own power.
Yes.
And you tend not to hold your head up when you are holding back of a fear of a failure, because I see something more than what somebody told me I could be. I wanted something more than I knew I could do, but I felt I could do it. Now, what made me strive for it was the power within me, realizing I can't keep listening to somebody else and it's not bringing me no kind of happiness.
Yeah, but listen, Brother Jeffrey's talking about that masculine energy that says, speak out.
That's
like no more this timidness, no more holding back, no more just following the rules, no more status quo. I mean, he's talking about stepping out, and really being a man in this world. And I would suspect what's going on here in this whole equation, that we have so many men who are identifying, especially being raised by women, and maybe women only, identify so much with that feminine side that they just can't get the muster up to get that go-get-em spirit that you have to be successful in this world. And you almost got to be mad a little bit to go through this world. Not to say that you're going to live a mad life, but you got to be fighting for what you're going to achieve in this world. You got to be fighting for something. And it turns out that we're not even fighting for community. We're not even fighting for the little old lady next door. That's what he's talking about. So we'll leave it at that. Brother Jeffrey, back to you, my friend.
Okay, I want everybody to understand now. First of all, when I talk about femininity in men, I'm going to describe to you exactly what I ain't talking about. I ain't talking about the guy that's a cross-dressing, and that's who he identifies as. You can be non-binary, you can be whatever you want to be. I don't care about that. What I'm talking about is, if you choose to date the same sex, at least be a James Baldwin with it. I want you to understand something. One of the most articulate men that we've ever known is James Baldwin. He just happened to date other men. But here's the thing about it, though. When he spoke of this. He said to be a black man And to be partially conscious in the United States is to be constantly angry, constantly enraged. I'm paraphrasing, but what he said was, I don't care if you are gay, straight, or whatever. If you are a black man and you ain't mad, something's wrong. And it's got to be fixed. You ain't got to date women. I don't even care about that part. I'm talking about the part where as a man, if you not mad, something's wrong with you. And we got to fix that, because when the men descend on our community and they provide that protection again, that's allowing women to do what they do and provide that nurturing again. And when a woman can provide that nurturing, she imparts something in that child that a man can attach confidence to. And when children are confident, they grow up and they walk with their shoulders back, and their head up high. And when our kids walk like that, they don't get worried about them other little kids calling them names, because they know on the inside they got a fire that if their kid actually comes close enough and they put their hands on me, it's about to be on.
Right.
I ain't advocating violence. I do advocate checking a mofo though.
Yes.
So once we get back to the root and we begin to fertilize the root, the seeds in our community will grow again. And once those seeds grow, they're going to move the generations forward. And when the generation starts to move forward, we start to build wealth. And when we build wealth, there'll be a whole resurgence in our community.
Yes.
And that's all I got to say about that.
That's all? That's it.
That's dropped the mic right there, bruh. That's dropped
Really,
the mic.
Jeffrey.
Oh, man.
That's a mouthful in a segment all on its own.
Yeah, man, and I have to paraphrase because I'm spending so much time working on my own craft, my new project, and I'm just trying to capture these little pockets of wisdom that can get people off their couch and get people to life and get people to doing what life is meant for them to do, and that propensity to be feisty, to be temperamental, to be angry, and we don't want to use the anger is not the full measure of the word, what we're looking for, but you got to have that tension, that tenacity. You got to have that, that fire, you don't get anything in your life done without that fire. Sometimes the fire is that it's going to be a real fire if you don't get this shit done. Right? But we back ourselves into a corner. But we're talking about that fire that just gets achievement, that makes achievement happen. Day in and day out, fired up about making something happen. That could be, protecting local kids. That could be politics. That could be, any number of ventures that you could get into, all of these not-for-profits and services that can be offered. You got to get passionate about life, man. That's the masculine side of life. If you ask me, I think the feminine side is, hey, let's take care of things and let's make them beautiful and let's make it wonderful. But the masculine side is, no, we're going to build mountains and we're going to build buildings and we're going to build a family and we're going to build an empire and we're going to keep this thing moving until the wheels fall off, right? That's the masculine energy that we need, where you're flaring your nose and raising your voice and you're getting excited about what you're talking about. That's the passion that we need, and there's not enough of that going on in the world. But it's soon to come. Any closing remarks for us, Brother Jeffrey?
Oh man, you put a big thing out there. Here's the main thing for anybody out there looking to do something. Just do it. If you just get started on it and you keep going, it'll get done. The more you plan, the more you try to prepare, it just doesn't work that way. That's a poor mindset. A rich mindset says that I can get started and I'll figure it out as I get going.
Right.
I'll figure it out along the way. And guess what?
Yes.
People who do that the most effectively are the people who have built wealth in their community. Mm-hmm. That's it, brother.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Again, a mouthful.
A mouthful. Thank you so much, Brother Jeffrey. You add such tremendous value to this show, and you're powerful, man. Keep grinding on this road, man. There is a platform for you and I in our own regard in this world where we can make a major difference. Just think about how liberating your words can be over the next 30, 40 years to the masses of people. We have nothing but each other. And you got a gift, bruh. You got a real gift, and we thank you for bringing it here to the
And
show.
I vote you for president. I'm gonna write you in, bro.
Man, my pleasure.
All right, bruh. All right, we'll catch up with you next week, hopefully.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Okay.
All right, man.
All right, take care. All right. All right, we have just heard from the good Reverend Dr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, we did. He left us slapped like always.
Oh, man.
Wake up.
You know, he said the most profound thing at the end. He said, if there's something that you want to do, just do
it.
it. Right? Just do it. Like,
Get it
life
going.
ain't that real difficult. Just get it done. So, we're about to go ahead and take our next break. And I hope you enjoy the next track. It's a very interesting track, but it is super fly. Enjoy it. We'll be right back with more Bar Talk with Jade.
Fire down when it came to some of the things you were saying. You know, that anger, that madness, that drive. It is something that we have to get back to.
Yes.
And I think some people fear that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And with today's things going on, it's real prevalent.
Yeah. And let's just talk about that for a minute, Jay. Tonight's subject, folks, is overcoming fear and the anxiety of the unknown. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what is it about drive that people might fear? What is it about? How do we talk about that?
How they look at it. You know, a lot of times when you look at the fear factor in your drive, you got to get the fear to the side because your drive is going to propel you. That's going to be something that is going to be a driving force to keep you doing things. And a lot of times your fear is just the failure or the hurt. No one wants to feel pain, okay? Now I know when I do this, it might not work out the way I want. And but I remember this other failure that happened. So now you're pushing away from your drive now. You already know these are some things I gotta accomplish. But if you got that small inkling in your back, you remember that one time I did this, and you can change things and get more from it compared to just staying away from things.
Right.
Because now you're moving your drive to another direction, so you're not probably making it to your destiny. Because it's kind of hard doing that when you just moving around so many obstacles, and half of it is yourself. It's one of the things when y'all got somebody blocking me. Okay, their block ain't gonna be my failure. That's them. I'm gonna find ways around it. That's my drive. I'm gonna push through.
Yeah.
And a lot of time I get right up on it so I can't see it. And that's why I said sometimes you gotta reevaluate. So I back up and I drive through.
Watch this. Sometimes fear is created because in reality you have a half-assed commitment.
Come here, buddy.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about that, folks. Right? That's all of us. Right? Sometimes fears crop up and creep up when we're not really, really dedicated. We're not really, really committed to that thing. Right? We gotta have, in whatever area of our life that we need to be driving forward, we really need to get more of a all-in attitude. Right? An all-in attitude says, I'm gonna win or I'm gonna lose. And when you say I'm gonna lose, you're okay with the fact that you might have to start over. And you're not afraid of starting over. Right? That's the person who really commits. The person who starts a business of any sort. They go down there and they get their license and they have their ideas and they're ready to implement their ideas, and they ain't got all the answers right then. All the answers aren't there. You know, they know there's lots of things to learn and lots of stuff to read and lots of people to know and lots of resources to put in place. And they don't know how it's all going to come together. But I'm going to start my own business. You hear that drive?
Yes.
No matter what happens, come hell or high water, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to make $100,000, $1 million, $100 million a year. You have to be all in on the goal, the dream, the expectation. If you are not, then what happens is your mind will start to play tricks.
Yep.
Well, I would have started the business, but it was a depression. Okay. maybe you got something there, right? I would have started the business, but my wife wasn't in on it. She didn't believe in it, right? So that just stopped you, right? I would have done it, but it seemed like we were in a recession. It seemed like it just wasn't the right timing, and we start to make excuses of why we didn't get things done, right? But those excuses are really, they have a fear parallel, right? I didn't get started now because I was afraid of the money factor. I didn't get started now because, I'm looking over my shoulder at my taxes and I didn't want to take my money. Right. I didn't get started now because, I had to go and do another course and, make sure that I knew what I need to know. And so now I'm dependent on getting more knowledge rather than applying the knowledge I have and filling in the gaps as I go. This fear thing robs people of their greatest potentials. A lack of commitment and a lack of dedication will allow the unknown to take you over, right? And we're all afraid of the unknown, but one of the major points that I wanted to make during this show was that the unknown is not really real to me because of my relationship I have with God. I'm not at bay to anything because of my relationship with the all-knowing, unlimited power and love of God. And so I don't have to be afraid of tomorrow. What I have to do is to be afraid that I'll get in my own way.
Yes.
Right? That I'll make a decision that the Lord didn't really want me to make. And now I'm going down this path, perhaps for thousands of dollars and a few years, and it was the wrong path for me in the first place. Right? That's my fear. Those are the things that I concern myself with. And so before I take any step, I'm always spending lots of time with God on, is this the right direction? Is this the right thing? Tell me what to do tomorrow. Tell me how to handle this situation. Tell me how I should behave and how what I should do to grow my business, or and he's always guiding and he's always leading me. And so I am not without knowledge on anything that I am attempting to achieve, right? And so who and what you lean on can oftentimes give you strength to overcome your fears. You see? And so if you don't have an all-knowing God to lean on, then you probably are trying to figure it all out yourself. And in my world, I'm not trying to figure out anything. Right? The Lord instructed me to do this yesterday. Right? And what I did was I read, 12 articles. I wrote 2 pages on notes of it. I went home, I organized those notes, and that's what he directed me to do. Right? And so I just continue to do what he do. And I had a pretty miraculous day on this past Monday. I've been handling lots of details on a home and property in my father's estate. And I just asked the Lord somewhere around Friday or Saturday, I said, Lord, I need you to just synchronize all this for me. I know I got my hands on everything that I think needs to be happening, but I need it to all come together. And I need to be able to understand that I'm doing everything necessary. Don't let me miss a thing. Don't let it be, don't let it be no leaks. Don't let it be no problems. Just guide me. And on Monday morning, I said to myself, for the beginning of the week, I said, this is going to be a go hard week. I said, this week, by the end of this week, I'm going to be extremely tired because I'm not going to rest this week. I'm not going to go to bed without writing 2 or 3 pages and reading some articles and listening to some sermons. I'm just going to go hard this week. And I'm right in the middle of it, and it is going fantastic. But on Monday, after I made that statement on Monday morning, it seemed like every phone call that I made and every person I reached out to was giving me completion and answers and resolution and affirmation. And it was happening in a way that I couldn't have created those things. It was impossible for me to create it, right? But I said, on Monday morning, I'm going to attack these issues. And I'm going to get them resolved. And I just had that drive that it was going to come to a reasonable conclusion for me, good or bad, right? But I'm expecting good because I serve a good God and he's always taking care of me. And so you see how, folks, can you hear in my example how I'm leaning on the Spirit of God to constantly lead me so that I don't have to worry about tomorrow? When I start to worry about tomorrow, you know what I begin doing, Jay? I start creating tomorrow. So if I'm worried about a big meeting that's going to happen and I'm not quite prepared for it, or you know, I've never been in front of this many people, or whatever the case may be, I start saying things to myself like, you know what? Tomorrow's presentation is going to go absolutely fantastic. I'm going to get a standing ovation. They're going to love my work. They're going to receive my ideas. I'm going to do it with excellence. It's going to be a perfect presentation. I'm going to be able to answer every question. By the end of it, I'll look like a superstar. I'm just expecting the Spirit to just go before me and prepare the way that everything that I do will be ordained and divine by the Holy Spirit. And I just keep talking myself into a great day tomorrow. And by the time I reach that event, you will be amazed at how the Spirit will take action upon your word. This is how you overcome fears, with the power of speaking life. Right? You got to turn from the problem and start speaking about the solution.
I agree.
Right? That's what I did. Right? And in all areas of my life, that's what I do. And so I have so much confidence in life and in livingness because of my relationship with God. And for those of people who are still longing for a greater relationship with the Lord, that has to become your goal. You have to go all in and be completely dedicated to having a relationship with God. And before you know it, it will start taking place. Nothing will happen without the intention of a good thing. If you have the intention for good to come forward, then good will come forward. It's the law of attraction, right? It's the secret. It's the way the universe works, that our thoughts have a tendency to transform themselves into its physical equivalents. That means the thing that I fear about, I can speak over and nullify it, void it, rebuke it, deny it in my life. If I fear that the bill's going to come before the money, then I rebuke that situation and say, no, the money's going to come before the bill. And I prophesy that everything in me and everything that God has and all his angels are working toward me having that proper amount of money before they send me that bill. Right? And I've made my intentions known to the Lord that I want that to happen. Now, I'm really getting into a spiritual philosophy of overcoming fears.
Yeah,
You hear my mentality
damn.
behind all of this, Jay?
All day, because I promise you, mine was close to the same, but I approached it differently. I had meetings I had to go to, and being an operation manager, I was responsible for so much, and these meetings was like hammering me on a lot of things that was out of all my control.
Yes.
I'm responsible for it just because of my position.
Yes.
But a lot of this stuff, I am taking hits over somebody else. But again, we all know how this goes when it comes to meetings. So I talked to my brother that goes to meetings, and actually a person that sits on the board where he's the one that's sitting there. And he said, well, why don't you quit looking at it the way you're looking at it? And I said, what are you talking about? Man, they hand me my behind every time I go in this meeting. He said, well, why don't you stop going in there like that and start speaking on the things that you did do right? Now, when I walk in these meetings, I already know I'm going to be hit because this person had this accident. Things that was out of my control, but again, it was underneath me. But all the stuff that I did do, I don't always think about speaking on.
Right.
But when I walk in these meetings, they so quick to want to hit me. You change them up when you start speaking back within you, because you care enough and you know I have the ability to get past this.
Right.
And it gave you that strength.
Right.
Because it goes back to you. I'm not just here for a salary. I'm here for a purpose.
Yes.
And y'all are hitting me in these meetings so hard that it makes you feel like maybe I need to be doing something else. Their whole thing is they want you to check yourself.
Right.
But they can hit you so hard, they can check you out the game.
Right.
I had somebody to go back to remind me of your abilities when you walk into me. They gave you this position because they seen something in you. Sometimes you lose them because they hit you so hard, you be like, shit, maybe I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
I need to go look for another job. So it's not always about quitting, it's about getting back to that fortitude of knowing you and getting back to your inner strength where you are positive in what you speak. So as they start speaking on other things, I'm able to remind them of all the things that I've done and doing. all their retraining to get us to this point, it gets to a point where they realize and they leave you alone. And to me, that's the problem. We don't speak up.
Yeah,
You let somebody hit you, it keeps you in a low head down position, like what Jeffy was talking about. And you just get along and get by, because I don't want to go through this hurt. I don't want them to talk about me. And it's to a point where, no, I need to talk back. I need fire. I don't need you to keep firing off at me and I keep my head down for shit that I know I didn't do. But I can tell you this, I am there every morning. I watch them go out. I make sure everybody's able to do their job before they walk up out that building. Something that you don't come in here and do, I do. So when you start speaking within confidence and it shows in your work, they tend to back off. Why? Because they ain't trying to. The whole thing is, are you willing to do? And I can't say what's going to light y'all fire, because them meetings didn't light mine. I promise you, they had my head down. What lit me is my brother when he told me, you got to light back up. So again, sometimes it's just talking to a person that loves you, that tells you, man, you got that position, you know it. You just going in it the wrong way. You going in there with a negativity. You going in there knowing they're going to hit you. And then you going in there with your head down. Yeah. And that's why I want to watch some things that we do.
And that's super, super powerful that, somebody could see that your attitude was potentially your own attitude is creating the fears. Mm-hmm. In that particular situation that you just described, your own negative attitude was creating the fear. And they may have been righteous. They may have been justifiable because of the audience that you had to constantly speak to. But it's about recognizing this. Recognizing that I'm kind of creating this. Let me go in with a positive expectation, and if I get something bad, I'll just let it bounce off and keep moving forward, right? But there's probably something good to be had out of this. It is just about time for us to take another break, and I like where Jay and I have taken the show thus far, because we're really talking about resolving fear and a fear-based consciousness. And I want to read to you some of the stuff that I read often in order to overcome fear. If there's something coming at me, I have to be able to have a tool to fight with, right? I got to be able to war against fear. And how do you war against fear? We've been talking about speaking life, and I want to tie all that together and give you some of this real powerful word that I use to speak to mountains.
Okay, I got one. It's called a Makarov. That's a German gun. Bring your ass if you want. I'm just trying to tell you, I got that Nina too. Got that 9, and I got that 12 gauge. I'm just trying to tell you some crazy thing going on. But coming over here might be the wrong way, get the wrong results. I'm just saying. It's the same.
Yeah. We hear you. So, you folks stay tuned. We're going to be right back. We'll go bar talk with Jade. Put out a 6-track album that was just fire, man, and it's all melodic like that. The whole album is just a melody album.
It's smooth.
Yeah, what I'm saying. It's kind of the new wave baby making music. You know what I mean?
Well, hey! I still like my Keith Sweat. I still like the time he begged for me back in the day. Now why you playing?
Yeah.
But when you was going in and you was talking about fears, and we talked about business, and I was telling you about how I approach some meetings. Getting away from the meetings, I want to talk real quick about how I also approach going into business. And it's one of the things that you mentioned. Going into business, you talk about it, but we actually do it. And I've started several different businesses throughout time. And the first time, the fear didn't hit me as much, but to the point I was about to actually do it. And it was like, you got a good job. Why would you do that? You already making good money, man. You got all this. You got people.
Why would you risk discomfort?
It might cause a problem. So now I'm starting to have a little anxiety. So I go to my job and make sure it's not a conflict. Okay, because they treat me like a celebrity at most jobs. As a manager, what you do on, off, there is no on and off. As a manager, you're theirs. It's almost like you're a property. You off. You do something outrageous, it could cost you your job. So I gotta go to make sure. So when I found out, I got cleared through HR. That's fine. If that's what you want to do. But one of the things by me bringing it to their attention is see that they put more on my plate. So it made it harder for me to get more going in that business because I kind of let the cat out the bag. And I opened my mouth to make sure things was right, and it caused me more pain. It seemed like every project that came down the pipe, I got. So, again, as I tell people, people can talk you out of it. They talked me into a position where I talked my job into making me do way more. It's harder for me to focus. So again, that business lasted a good while, and it was one of the things that eventually me to my next one, and then my next one. So I never really gave up. I had to make changes. Everything is not always going to be successful. One of the biggest problems most people say is you scared to fail. No, you scared to learn. You want to have a template that just works, and you want success instantly. And truthfully, it takes some failures to get you to where you need to be, where you home in on everything that you didn't know. And a lot of times you have a fear that if I start this, then I don't know this. And a lot of times, when you start doing it, you start learning. So instantly, when you get in it energizes you because it opens up your brain to start doing things other than what it used to, because it gets comfortable. Over here, I was comfortable. Now I got this business going. I'm uncomfortable because I got to know everything falls on me.
Yeah.
So I have to ensure. But this over here, I had down. I had to take some of this and apply it over here to get that same confidence in what I didn't know.
And that same work ethic, absolutely.
And that work is that drive.
Yeah.
And that's what gives you that success. Even though I was comfortable here, I had a drive.
Yeah.
You take that same drive and push with a little bit more energy, and you got more of your own.
Yeah. And it is a very interesting dynamic, and you bring up a great point. For those people who are interested in starting businesses, becoming your own boss, the opportunity is unlimited. It is unlimited. You can double, triple, quadruple, 100 times your income by going into business for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But being in business for yourself is a thinking man's business. It's not I hope the shipment comes on time. It's I'm gonna call and make sure the shipment gonna be here on time. Right? You gotta go and get it. You gotta build a plan, and you gotta stick to the plan, and you gotta create in that world, and the creation is a part of your survival. That's what makes it fearful, right? Because if you miss the mark, you might blow everything, okay? But you can't go into it, again, with a half-assed attitude. You got to have that all-in spirit. And, the reason that you would go in business for yourself is that, number one, that you can. Number two, that you're leaving lots of your potential on the table. You know for a fact that you should be making way more money than you're currently making, right? But you have this fear of leaving your comfort zone. And I promise you, there's no growth in that comfort zone, right? You got to leave that comfort zone. And that's for any of us. That, things just change. We talk about change. All change is constantly changing. You're going to have to leave those comfort zones in order to create more life. And so part of overcoming the fear is really going back to what you always say, Jay, understanding self, understanding that I have the potential to do it. And when you realize that, every day that you wait to start your objective or your goal, you're just leaving a part of yourself on the table. You got to get to a point where you begin to hold yourself accountable on a much higher level. That's how you overcome your fear, is that, hey, God, I put in 2 hours last night and it wasn't enough. I guess I need to put in 4 hours tonight, and 4 hours might get the job done. Fear is one of those things that they call it false evidence appearing real.
Yep.
And most of the things that we fear will never touch us. Most of the things we fear can't touch us until we have done something else.
Created it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to step out there, a little bit before the whole thing falls in your lap, So what we're really doing is talking about how to become bigger than the idea of your failure. Right? Let's just say you invest $10,000 into a business, right? This is kind of an interesting way to think about it, but your faith has to be bigger than the $10,000 you put into the business. Right? Your strength, your inner strength has to be bigger than that. And sometimes that takes intelligence. You got to go and learn more about it. Sometimes that takes, just knowing that you're running out of time and you got to just jump off the bridge before you miss the opportunity. There's all kinds of things that will take you to that particular place. But ultimately, we have to always believe we are bigger than any problem that we have. And one of the best ways I've ever experienced is how in the Bible, in the Word of God, He gives you words that help you to understand your bigness over the problem. Okay? And I want to read some of those out of one of my favorite books. The book is called Prayers That Rout Demons.
Okay.
And it really is basically, sometimes demons can be of the mind and not necessarily in the physical world. And so this is how we overcome it. This particular segment is called Speaking to Mountains. And it goes like this. There's a few of these words. I want you to listen to the attitude behind these messages.
Okay.
I speak to every mountain in my life and command it to be removed and cast into the sea. I speak to every financial mountain to be removed in my life. Let every mountain hear the voice of the Lord and be removed. I prophesy to the mountains and command them to hear the word of the Lord and be removed. Listen to this, is one of my favorite. Every mountain in my way will become a plain. Every mountain in my way will become a plain. What are we doing? Let every mountain, I speak to every mountain of debt to be removed and cast into the sea. What are we doing in that whole thought process, Jay? We're removing. We're initiating a presence within us that says, I can conquer you, problem. I can conquer you, fear. Imagine sitting in your living room and saying, fear, you do not belong to me.
That's right.
I rebuke you and I cast you out into the sea. You are not welcome here. I will stand in faith, confidence, trust, belief, power, commitment. You have no place in my life, and I command you to be removed. Do not show up back here again. Go forevermore into the bottom of the sea. May you be nullified, banished, rebuked, captured, bound. Woo! Just, may the sword come against you. May the sword of the Lord come against you, fear. I will not fear because the Lord is my strength. He is my stronghold and my tower, in whom all things that are possible by me through his power. You see where my mind is, man? My mind.
Everybody know where your mind is.
My mind is in the divinity of power. Fear is a little bitty thing.
There you go.
It's something that's sometimes just even a minute thought or old belief or old memory that's coming up. And sometimes when those fears come to you, your heart will flutter. Right? Sometimes those fears will come to you and you might find yourself getting a little sad or maybe a little upset. Or maybe you just, you know how sometimes you have that worry spirit?
Oh, yeah.
See, that worry spirit is a sign that you are in fear about something. And at the very moment you recognize that you are worrying about it and that you are in fear of something, begin to speak to fear. Fear, you have no place here. I bind you in the name of Jesus. You will be removed right now by the power vested in me. I call upon the angels of the Lord to remove every fear that I have. Take it out of my path, take it out of my mind, take it out of my heart. I will not operate in fear. I'm speaking as though I'm an authority over fear. It is the confidence of a man that proves his purpose. You cannot live life tiptoeing. You cannot live life tiptoeing. You have to go robust into life. And the first place to go robust before you go robust into life is being robust in the spirit. Okay. Robust in the mind. There are no great warriors who ever went into battle. They just come off the sideline and just jump into battle. They've been revving themselves up. You see the football players when they warm up, they warming up, they getting fired up. The pastor's in the corner preaching and talking and praying to himself before he do a sermon. You have to find a way to get yourself revved up. Right. Because revving yourself up, it will be easy to overcome these fears, this false evidence appearing real. It's in your mind, if nothing else. But you can conquer it by becoming bigger than the potential problem. And this is really deep stuff what I'm talking about now. But it's as deep as it is. Grandmamas have been using it for generations of time. My grandmother came up with me with the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. And every time I say those words, it just reminds me that God has got his staff in his hand, and anything that is not for me or that's coming against me, he's going before me and clearing the path. And when I say I shall not want, that he'll satisfy my need even before I express it to him. You see what I mean? I'm in the spirit that I'm not at bay to the enemy. I'm not at bay to time. I'm not at bay to being behind or to having lack or limitation or pain or troubles or issues. I'm standing way above that in my spirit. Now these things may come, but it won't be because I let them in. Because my bold attitude protects me from being afraid of anything. You see what I mean? So it is our spirit that has to be strengthened in order to get through these things. You pray this prayer, a prayer like, every mountain in my way will become a plain. Every problem, every financial problem that I have right now will become a plain. I will get through this. I will meet my commitments. I will have enough to share and to spare. I will be able to get those things for my kids, put my kids through college, take those vacations. I'm going to be able to live a life that is full of absolute beauty. And if until you get that spirit, you're never going to experience the outcome. Right. You're never going to experience a fine life if you don't contemplate a fine life. Right? It's impossible to do so. It defies the law of gravity. We have to have the spirit of faith. We have to have the spirit of confidence before we can ever attack anything. And ultimately before we can ever even receive anything. Because if there's a problem that needs to be fixed, and I claim that this problem, the solution is now manifest, I have to be confident that the solution is now manifest. Everything that I've said to you is biblical. It's Jesus Christ standing before a sick man and raising him to healing. He changed his mind so that he knew that no trouble could come against him. He knew in his mind that this person was a perfect child of God and he was whole and complete. Stand up and take thy cloth. And with that whole spirit, he manifested the Spirit of God. Do you understand that our lives are based upon how strong our spirit is? If you're going to stand in the gutter all the time, that's all you ever going to manifest. I don't want to preach, man. I know I'm probably saying too much. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit.
No, you ain't really rambling because we in that gutter, because I've been there in that gutter, that gutter.
Yeah, I'm trying to strengthen somebody.
But in that strength is recognizing where you at.
Yeah.
And again, one of the things you speak so powerfully, but a lot of times when you're in that gutter, you hear it and you're not trying to hear it. Because I'm in a different place, so now I'm making excuses.
Yeah.
And that's again back to what the fears is all about, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to accept this because I don't know what that's going to bring because I already know I'm going through hell already. So Instead of me trying to come out of the hell I'm in, I would rather stay comfortable where I'm at than hear a good word to cause change. So I'll stay the same. And I hear it all the time.
Absolutely.
And I get sad because you would want a person to do better.
Right.
But you can't force a person to do better.
There you
They
go.
have to take on that responsibility.
And that's not easy when
No.
you're in fear. But I love where you're going. Listen, we're going to wrap this show up here in the next segment. It's time for us to take another break. You folks stay tuned. We're going to be right back with more Bar Talk with Jade.
Come back with Bar Talk with you.
Welcome back.
And my boy was having a little sidebar talking about this fear thing. And something hit me, Craft.
Yeah.
And this is how you know you're in the right place, right time, and how the Lord works through you. Because one of the biggest fears that one of many, I had fears throughout my life. And again, how you conquer is you face them. And one of them was Bar Talk with Jay. Bar Talk with Jay was a small fear because it was coming off the Jay and Shay show. After me and Shay was starting to go our own way, I had to come up with my own. And the fear is like, okay, you start this and you don't know where it's going to go. And you had a successful one with Shay, the Jay and Shay. So you can just be happy there. And it's like, no, I felt like there's more I need to be said, more things need to be done. I met you right before I started Bar Talk with Jay. I was still in the Jay and Shay show. And I said, man, I got some things I want to get done. And that's when I found out you was already doing some things that was motivating. And that's where Minecraft is going to blow your mind and some of the future things that we doing because he was already motivating and doing things. And I was like, yo, I already got this drive too. So I was able to link up with you, get past the fear of all what I was going to do. It wasn't set in iron and cast, but I understand the motivation of what I wanted to do. But with your drive in mind, we came together and it helped a vision that was not clear. And that's what I really feel like do. If I wasn't to talk to you and you were selling me something at that time, and I was at a plant, and you came in to sell me something, which you made a lot of money after me, I'm sorry. At that time, I couldn't spend that, man. I was changing everything, and I never want you to think I would never buy from you. But at that time, I was under the gun. And after I got them good, the next person spent all the money I saved. That just let you know how stuff goes. I sacrificed to bring a plant from a negative to a positive. But because of the fact they made changes, I was one of the first ones. Last one's in, first one's out. Don't let that fear stop you because it's your motivation, your drive. I went there for a purpose. I got it, I learned, I moved. It took me to drive to get this going. Why I don't stop it? Because again, motivational drive, fortitude. That's what it breaks back down to. Get you away from that fear. Fear stops you. Motivation and drives keep you. Keep yourself comfortable and understanding you, but please understand there's going to be things that come up against you. And that's when you have to stand fast and hard, and that's your belief. Getting back to your God, getting back to you, because a lot of times that's what's going to get you through. So that's what I love about what you do, because you add that spiritual guidance when a lot of people just want to look at you. I did it, and that's why it gets taken. You put too much into you, forget about who put you through. From the people that supported you, helped you, and let alone God that pushed you, that gave you all that, but you want to give it back to yourself. Don't be selfish in this world. Please understand, he's encouraging you to be the best you, and then you taking on some things, and I'm not going to lie, from TV and listening to social media, it might be an overboard or an ego bust, or your ego might take over you. My whole thing is ground yourself back to what motivates you. It shouldn't be that, them, it should be you.
Yeah. You know, I always say that we hang our hats on promises, right? You know, just to live this life and walk through life without being scared of the world or scared of life, you know, I hang my promise that the Lord's always with me, right? My hat's hung on that he's right here beside me, going ahead of me, protecting me. I just believe that, right? and that satisfies my soul to get through life. So in the physical world, you got to hang your hat on your goal, on your promise, right?
Okay.
And so if I say that, you know what, in the next 2 years, my goal is to leave working for somebody else and start working for myself, and I'm going to double my income, right? I'm going to hang my hat on doubling my income. And then I'm going to get up every single day and go hard toward making that happen. And no matter what happens, no matter how much challenging stuff happens, or, no matter how many setbacks I might have, my hat is hung on leaving these folks and making my own money and doubling my income. Okay. And I'm going to hang my hat on that, and I'm just going to stay laser focused on that. If you can somehow begin to adopt a principle in life where you just follow your own simple little process, right? I hang my hat on, I'm gonna make $100,000 this year.
Okay.
I hang my hat on $100,000 this year. Notice I'm in trying to overcome fears, I'm asking you to go opposite from your fear and go toward some hope. Go toward the avenue of your greatest success. Go toward a vision that where you can see yourself victorious. Right. Seeing yourself victorious annihilates fear. Right? Really, the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's fantasy. And so even when you fantasize about being safe and secure, or you visualize that you're whole and complete, or you visualize that you got enough money in your account to pay your bills, somehow the universe will make it so. You see what I mean? So, I'm just encouraging folks to, sometimes you have to step back away from life, right? If you're constantly walking through life tiptoeing, then there's something wrong. Right?
You get mad.
Yeah, there's something wrong. Either you're on the wrong path and you just haven't recognized it, or you're not all in and haven't recognized it, right? We see people who go through, especially artists and people who got to try out, and athletes. You just cannot recall yesterday's fears and put your very best foot forward tomorrow. It just doesn't work that way, So you got to take a step back, find yourself, do a lot of praying. Praying is the answer, man. And this is one of those subjects where we can't quite verbalize our stories, in this particular type of subject. But what we're all really talking about is how we had to change our mind over and over and over and over again. And you can't get set in your ways, and you can't follow the same paths, and you got to be open for new ideas. But there's lots of ways to overcome fears, but mostly you got to stay in prayer. There's really nothing that's going to exceed praying. And the problem I find is that people will have a problem and they won't be praying about it. You got this issue going on in your life, or the bill is here, but you ain't got the money for it, and the answer's in prayer, but you ain't praying. You're not overcoming your fears. You're not attacking the issue. All that you ever really have is your own thinking and your own word. That's all you ever really have. And those will lead to behavioral changes. Those will lead to you taking action steps or asking for help, etc. But until you get the mindset change, that victory in your mind, nothing ever is going to change on the outside. And again, it's a kind of a difficult subject to attack. But life probably just wouldn't be life without the unknown, right? It really wouldn't be life, because we find ourselves in the middle of our unknowns. Your character's tested every time you drive forward and you don't know how you're going to complete it. Right? You show true signs of your own heroism when you attack and you don't have all the answers, right? Now, there are some who just love risk and they take too many of them. But those who understand the value of money and the value of time will take calculated risk. And as long as you've sat back and calculated and you've got a good hypothesis and you checked the numbers, you've analyzed the audience and the market and the clients and the product and the service, you got to do your due diligence.
Right.
And sometimes doing the due diligence will eliminate your fears. Right? Man, in order to make that number, I thought I had to have 1,000 new clients a month. Turns out I only need 200. Right? Now, because I've planned through it and I've thought through it, now I can see that I don't need 1,000 a month in order to hit my goal. I can do 200 and still break even. 200 should be easy based on the systems that I have in place.
Right.
Now I just eliminated my fear and really opened the door to achieve that goal through my faith.
And still make that 1,000.
And still make that 1,000, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure how much further we can take this subject. It is always interesting to discuss the inner spirit of man and what holds one back from being their greatest possibility.
Yes, so.
And I think that we have, done a pretty decent job of getting into some of the spiritual things that happens in the midst of overcoming fears.
Yeah, but we ain't never going into fear of a bad relationship. We ain't get fear of a woman hurting you.
Well, all I can say is you got to get some healing.
Well, I say.
That could be chakras, or that could be a few extra booty calls, or that could be
some of
another
that fear
way.
is your problem. you manifest a lot of things, and again, looking to make sure a person don't hurt you. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah, you know what, Jay?
It goes a lot of different ways.
Yeah, as we close out, this is profound. Right? And we've seen it over and over and over in the world of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, you will always attract to you your greatest fear. So if you are fearing something, if you fear meeting the same man that you met last time, then you're probably going to attract that same man.
Back up.
Right?
This is ATL. Woman. To say, we me and sitting here, bro. You can't say that.
I was talking about
I know. But yeah, we got to get clarity. This ATL.
I didn't need no clarity. You the one need clarity.
Damn right.
I was clear.
I would be clear about it too.
I don't need to make no more statements.
I will. Because they technical, maintain the world.
I ain't worried about. I have no fear of how they perceive my language.
I ain't got no fear. I just ain't trying to get where they going.
Now, I done lost my whole train of thought.
That's my bad.
So with that, it's time to close out anyway. I want to thank you folks for being with us tonight. This has been Bar Talk with Jay, our opportunity to have a great discussion.
Yes.
Hopefully you find some nuggets for you to discuss with your friends and family, some nuggets for you to just kind of think about and consider and contemplate over the next coming days for yourself and your own life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be ruled by fear, right?
No.
There is nothing to fear but fear itself. And the way to overcome fear is to attack life. That's just the way to do it. You gotta attack life. There's a problem you've been sitting on for months, years, perhaps even multi-years. It's time to attack. I'll promise you, just shortly after you attack, it'll almost be over with. Shortly after you attack, you will find the answers, and all the waiting, all the disparity that you've had will somehow just be over with in a very short period of time after just attacking. So I want to thank you folks again for being here.
And me, I'm going to go with Jeffrey and his get mad and let's do it.
Get mad and let's do it. Yeah, I like that. Intensity in the spirit proves one's potential achievement. You can get there if you got fire. That's what he's talking about. Talking about fire. So listen, folks, we are here every week, every Thursday from 7 to 9, Facebook Live. Again, you can find us on every platform. Like us, share us, subscribe. Like us, share us, subscribe.
And don't forget the new one.
Yeah.
BarTalkWithJay.com. See it all right there too.
BarTalkWithJay.com is the place to be now. And again, make sure you share it, like us, subscribe. Come back and see us. We love you. We really appreciate you. And we look forward to visiting with you during our next show. And with that, folks, we are out.
Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jay.